Alright folks, so the last lesson we learned how to use the vanishing point filter on flat surfaces. It's a little bit trickier whenever you have a curved surface because really it only works in flat perspective planes. However, there is kind of a trick that I want to show you guys. It takes a little bit longer, but it's basically the same concept. We're basically tricking Photoshop into thinking that we're using flat planes to actually get a curved surface. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I have two different images now. I have a book and I have some text. What I want to do is get this text onto these book pages. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is create a blank layer, alright, on top of my background in the book image. Because I don't want to, in case I mess this up, I don't want that text to be on my background layer. So I'm going to create a new blank layer. I'm going to go into Filter and open up Vanishing Point again. Alright, here's my dialog. Now, by default, I have the Create Plane tool selected. And in this case, I'm just going to click roughly along the edges of this right-facing page because it's a little bit flatter. And I think I won't have to do too much right there. So if I click a third time, and it gives me that square. And so now I'm just trying to kind of see what looks good perspective-wise. That looks about right. I click OK, and it gives me the grid. All right. So I've added this plane. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and I'm going to go into the text image. I want to select everything, so I'll go to Select All, Command A or Control A, and then I'm going to copy it. So Command C, Control C, or Edit Copy. All right, and then I'll go back to the book, and we'll go back into Vanishing Point, and you'll see that your grid is still there. All right, now I'm going to paste. So Control V or Command V to paste that image. And this, for some reason, it makes things really big sometimes whenever you bring them into Vanishing Point. But that's okay. We'll just grab our Transform tool over here and hold down Shift so we don't mess up the proportions too much. And click and drag down, and you'll probably have to let go of both Shift and the mouse. Move it up again. Whoops. Move it out of here. And well, by accident I already put it on there. That's okay. We'll just hold down Shift, grab a corner. This will just take a little longer this way now that it's on here. Hold down Shift, grab a corner, let go of both, click with the mouse, bring it back up. Hold down Shift. Almost there. Hold down Shift, drag it down. That's alright. So now we can make it a little bit bigger so it fits. I want to get the edges all within this page. Now I'm going to turn heal on, obviously, because this is not the same background color. So when I go to luminance, it's not going to do what we want. But if I go to on, it should do what we want. So now we have that background color showing through. It's about where I want it to be. So I'm going to click OK and see how it looks. All right. Now it looks pretty good. The only thing you'll notice is that we have this sharp line over here on the right side. And luckily, this is on its own layer, so what we can do is actually mask that or erase it. To be non-destructive, we'll mask it, but erasing would be the destructive way to do that. So I'm going to add a blank layer mask, all right, onto this text layer, and I'm going to get my brush, and I want black as my foreground color, right, because I want to start masking this edge here. Take the hardness down to 0. A relatively small brush, since this is a pretty low res file, about 30 pixels. And I'm just going to start painting over the edge there, just to blend the edge into that background. If you see any other areas that kind of stand out to you, you can do the same. Really, that edge was the only thing I saw. Alright, so when we zoom out, it looks like the text is on that page. Pretty nice, right? Okay, so the next thing we want to do is try and get that text on this curved page, and that's a little more time intensive. To do that, we're going to go back into Vanishing Point. So Filter, oh, and it won't let me. You'll see it won't let me because I'm on the mask right now. So first I get my Move tool, select that background layer again, and we're going to create another blank layer. All right, so we'll click New Layer. So we have we're going to have 3 layers in all. We have the background, then we have the text that we just created with the masked edge, and then we're going to have another blank layer where we're going to put text on the left-facing page. So we'll go Filter, back into Vanishing Point. Now this time what we're going to do is get our Create Plane tool. All right? And we're going to start over here on this side of the page. And I'm going to click down and go along the edge here. Let go. And then I'm going to click to about maybe 1/4 of the way over until the page kind of starts to curve a little bit. All right. Like that. All right. And then 1/3 or 4th of the way over. And then I'll try and match it up here. It doesn't have to go all the way to the edge. Pretty close is fine. All right. Now, that gives me one part. Now, remember in the last video, I showed you how you could press down Command or Control and drag from this middle point here, and it's going to give you a perpendicular plane. All right. So what we're going to do is just create that perpendicular plane, and then change the angle of it so it lays where we want it to lay. All right. And this is how we're going to gradually change plane so it looks like it's curving around a surface. You're going to do this several times. All right? So then we'll press Command or Control again, grab that point, bring it over, come up here to the angle, and if you put your cursor over the word angle, you'll get a error. It's kind of an invisible slider. You don't have to go over here and get the slider. You can actually just do it right here. And plop it down, and then make it a little smaller. The more of these you have, the more smooth it's going to appear. If you make them too big, it's going to look kind of jagged. We want to avoid that if we can. So I'm just going to keep doing this. Command or Control, drag out, and come up here, move the angle over, and grab the middle point and drag it back. You can always go back and adjust the angle if you want to fine tune it. Command, drag out, the angle over, and drag out. So you get the idea. Almost done, so I won't stop the video or anything. I'll finish this up real quick, and you can do the same thing on your end. And so you'll see this is not a perfect fix because we got a little discrepancy between the edge of the page here and the edge of the page up here, but it's relatively convincing most of the time. So it's a lot better than just putting something flat on a curved surface and showing people you're not very good at it. Not very good at Photoshop. This is a much better way. So you can make them a little smaller as we get closer to the spine of the book here. I'm going to do one more. Probably don't need it, but just for posterity's sake. All right. So now that we have this plane here, or this group of planes, I should still have the page on my clipboard. So I'm going to Command V or Control V to paste that page back in here again. All right, I'm going to turn Heal On, okay, just like we did the first page. Let's see what it does here. All right, and now I'm going to shrink this down. Be careful you don't get your cursor inside this area before you're ready for it. So, holding down Shift to constrain those proportions. This is taking a lot of memory, apparently. Getting that spinny wheel, computer's working hard. So that's close enough to the size. So now I'm going to drag it down in here, and we'll finish up sizing it. And you can see how it sort of curves around those planes. Sort of like in the first exercise, how that poster, if we drag it down to the floor, it would switch over automatically to the floor plane. Same kind of thing here, except we have so many planes that it's an illusion of a curve. So you can position this however you want it. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Kind of like that, I think. So it's not perfect. You can see it's a little bit off on the edge. We might be able to fix that in the actual Photoshop file. But that's pretty close. So I'm going to click OK. See, see how it looks now. You'll notice we still have that. We have an edge right there again, just like we did over here on the other side. So I'm going to zoom in, and just like we did before, add a blank layer mask to this layer. And then get my brush. Everything should be set up the way I want it. And with black as my foreground color, I'm going to mask that edge to blend it in. Alright. Look around, see if there's anything else that stands out. The top is a little rough right here as well. And the side too. So you can kind of go all the way around if you want. And, just blend that in, give it a more realism. You get done with that, you can zoom out. And there you go. So we, now this is a little crooked, like I said, so we could free transform and try and tilt it a little bit, but I don't know if it's going to make it much better. I think it looks pretty good as is, so I'm really happy with that. So that's one way that you can kind of fake using Vanishing Point to wrap things around a curved surface. So you could use this to put labels on, bottles or cans or something like that. There's a lot of different applications for this, so I hope you enjoyed learning about the Vanishing Point. Save this as a PSD, save a JPEG copy, and turn it into Blackboard, and I will see you next time.